Well, who the heck are you then, guys?
Hi, I'm John Brown and I work doing media and design and communications at Grace Church right here in Nottingham.
John, how about you, mate?
I'm Michael Prescott and I'm an intern at Grace and I help out with the youth.
Youth.
Yeah.
I'm John and I'm an intern here as well.
Hey, John. Thanks ever so much for this brief interview. Come on, how can the church be more relevant to the people of Nottingham in the 21st century? Are we relevant? Do they give a toss about us? Are we real? Come on, answer this question.
No, I think there's a bit of, we've got to try and be relevant and be contemporary, and we need to, like I do media and design, so we use video and graphics to engage with people because we're in a kind of visual culture, but at the same time you don't want to kind of ignore the truths of the gospel which are relevant throughout history, and so it's kind of that balancing act of not watering down the gospel or trying to make it something it's not and make it more appealing and kind of ignore the bits you don't want to hear, but yeah, make it kind of bring out the truths in it, and whether that be through video or to preach on a street corner. I think both are really important in our culture.
How about you guys? Do you agree with him?
Yeah. We like to get out and like talk to the youth in the market square, like send out people from our youth team and get anyone to come in who's ready to come. We have like chilled social evenings on Friday, and so we like to bring anyone who wants to come in, and we just have a good time with pool, with games, with consoles, and just like try to be relevant to the youth of the city, try and get them in, make friends, relational, that's what we're about at the youth. So
Video, friends. Relational. How about you, mate?
I think we've got probably the most relevant message that's ever existed. I think it's utterly relevant to every part of society, that we can get to know a God who is real and who loves us, and we can understand our purpose in Him. I think there's nothing more relevant than that.
But do they care though, John? I mean, have you got non-Christian friends, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy here, I'm not sure about
he's probably not saved yet. What about your non-Christian friends then? What do they honestly think about the church? Do they think you're nuts? Do they think you're cool? Do they respect you? What's the situation there with your non-Christian buddies?
I had a really interesting conversation with a friend at work who had never met a real genuine Christian before, which surprised me, I suppose. I thought that, it was utterly astonishing that she'd never really come into contact with anyone who really believed, with all their heart in God and followed Him wholeheartedly. And so I think for her, probably she didn't have a clue what Christianity was all about, but certainly they've been very eager at my workplace to ask me all about sex and all about, what I believe about marriage and what I believe about life and death, and why I go to church every week. And so I think when people get onto this subject, they find it to be a really interesting conversation for them to have.
John, are you married yet, mate?
No, I'm not yet.
Watch out, after this video you're going to be getting some I'm pretty well convinced of it, buddy, I really am. What about the Bible? Is the Bible, are your mates interested, your non-Christian mates, are they interested in the Bible? Do they think it's a relevant book or a bit weird?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think most people would own a Bible. I think.
Do you reckon, even today?
I know for me, I don't know about you guys at school, we all got given a Bible, a New Testament anyway, by the Gideons when I was in school. I think a lot of people have got one from like a Christian relative or use it as a doorstop or something, but whether they've ever read it is a different matter. And I think the Bible probably, isn't something that people are rushing to read in kind of W.H. Smiths or Waterstones or whatever, but I think if it's communicated to people, the themes and the topics in it can really grab people's attention. I mean, there's not really kind of any topic in life that isn't covered in some way in the Bible. It's just kind of getting that message across, and that's the challenge, I suppose, for us in things we're trying to...
What's the best way to communicate it then, guys?
Best way to communicate the Bible?
Is preaching dead, for example?
Well, no, I don't think so. I guess a really helpful way for those who don't know about the Bible is to start in situations and start in where people are at, start in real life problems that people have, and you can move from there into talking about, okay, what does the Bible say? Or the Bible told this story. Doesn't that link into kind of your situation? And is there wisdom there to be found in there? I think that can be a really helpful way in for a lot of people.
There's a real push from the secular society to make the Christian faith a private faith. You know, it's all right if we're huddled together in churches, preaching and praising God and doing that kind of stuff, but woe betide you if you get out there in public proclamation. What's your take on that? Do you think that's a real issue? Should we bother about that?
Yeah, because I mean, church is all about community, about us going out into the world. I mean, Jesus gave us the commission to go out and make disciples of all nations. So it's all about being part of where you are, being part of the community you're in. And a lot of what we do, we want to reach the city. We're here for the city, and we want to get that out there and talk to people about what we believe. It's not about being just this small little insular community. We want to get out there and we do that social action. We want to get out on Friday nights, Saturday nights, talk to the people who are out in the city. And we don't want to be a little private bunch of people. We want to get out there and see.
Okay, final question, guys. Is Britain broken? And if it is, what do you think the biggest problem is? Just an easy one to finish with.
Question.
An easy one to finish with, buddies. Is Britain broken? What do you reckon, dude?
I think the whole world is broken. I think every nation has its own individual problems, and I think we're often naive about our own problems. A lot of people aren't aware of how dire the situation is in our own country because we compare it to other nations. Other nations might have different, really serious problems, but we ourselves, we've got our own problems with family, problems with community, individualism and isolation, people being lonely and depressed. I think depression is rife in our country.
You're making me depressed, just
because we've lost, how to relate to one another and how to live together and how to be family. I think that's a real missing value in our country.
What about yourself, buddy? Would you agree with that? Do you think there's another overlaying, deeper issue?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and we have, you could say in the West that we have all that we want in terms of, I mean, in some ways now that there's been the economic crisis, people are starting to realize that we may not have all that we want, but in material blessings and stuff, people could say, oh, we have it all, but then you realize that we've lost the sense of community. In lots of the poor countries, you have more of a community feel, and we've lost a lot of being able to relate to one another, being able to live in a society that works, and there's been all sorts of discussions about that. So I definitely think there's so much that the church has to offer for our country.
John, how about yourself?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that ultimately, as the boys been saying, that Britain, like the rest of the world, is broken. We live in a world where there is sin, and we pray kind of, God, your kingdom come, because God's kingdom isn't here, and it's not the environment, the world we'd like to live in. But it's great that ultimately we have a hope that actually there's hope for change in this life and in the next, and that's the real message that we can share to people who are increasingly poorer and seeing violence in their streets and whatever, that there is hope. And yeah, maybe the country's broken, but there is a hope. It's not like things are hopeless, and I guess that's a challenge for us, is to spread the message that things might not be exactly how you want now, but there is a hope for now and for when we die. So yeah, it's a great message to be able to spread in a time when a lot of people are losing hope, that we can share that with them.
Thanks, gentlemen, for this interview. I really do appreciate it. I wonder if you could just do one more thing for me. Could you put your left hands out like this, please, and spread your fingers together? Thanks ever so much. Ladies, look, no wedding rings. This is Grace Church. Contact them today. God bless you. Bye-bye.